So welcome everybody to the IREN Growthpad Virtual Food Festival. I am Esperance Chesoli, and I'm the team lead of IREN Growthpad at Interregion Economic Network. And I'm super excited that I'm going to be a host for this virtual food fest, actually the first of its kind in Kenya, under a very nice and intriguing theme of reimagining tourism and food experiences in Kenya. We are all aware that since the outbreak of COVID-19, so many economies have been brought to their knees across the globe, and the global supply chain have greatly been disrupted. And coming back to our country, the major sector that supports the economy, that is the tourism travel industry, has been greatly affected by the pandemic. So many millions of jobs have been lost. Airlines have been grounded. Hotels have been closed down, and this has been a very negative effect to the whole general economy. So there's an urgency to rethink strategies of how to hit the reset button for this industry. And also, as the tourism industry, it's not just a sector on its own, it's interlinked to many other many other sectors in the economy, that is manufacturing, agriculture, health, they're all interlinked into one. So once that travel industry, because this one is where we have connectivity to the outside world, once that one is grounded, then also the other sectors are impacted. So for the 2 days, we are going to discuss how to reimagine the tourism and the food industry experiences in Kenya, with the objectives of one, discussing the policy, the strategy, and industry needs post the COVID-19 effects, and also how can we connect the rural and urban economies through the power of the food networks that we have here in Kenya, how to promote both domestic and international food tourism, and lastly, how can we showcase our indigenous foods that are here in Kenya. So in short, we are looking of ways to use the local available resources that we have to capitalize on them so that we can rethink, we can remodel, we can reset the industry from the very local resources that we have. So I'll be your host throughout these 2 days. And now I welcome the IREN director, James Shikwati, to give his remarks. Welcome, James.
Thank you, Esperance, and good morning, everyone. It's a bit difficult to have everybody respond at the same time in this virtual world, but I'm so happy that we've woken up early to be part of this conversation. And as Interregion Economic Network, what I like to say is that this has been a journey of over 5 years. Although we are hosting the food festival, somebody would think maybe we just woke up and decided we should do this overnight. But the truth of the matter is that this has been a journey that we started with the Frederick Norman Foundation way back in 2015. And we started this journey by working, and we still work with smallholder farmers in the Lake region of Kenya. And the smallholder farmers showcase a lot of potential when it comes to the foods they produce and the need for a market, and the need to have people also partake what they eat in their own homes. We know when you talk about tourism, people go to the 5-star hotel, which still serves foods that are served all over the world. So if you went to a 5-star hotel in Nairobi, you are likely to actually get a similar menu to the food that you'd get, let's say, if you went to Berlin or if you went to New York. And the whole purpose of trying to do this food festival is to encourage the culture of food mosaic, a possibility that you can also have foods from communities in Kenya being part of the tourism culture. And we know that with the food tourism, tourists would like to have full experience. It's not just looking at the wildlife, the elephant. They also would like to know how do the people they visit also survive and the kind of food they eat. And what is even more exciting, when we started this initiative, we got approached by a pharmaceutical company that said that food is actually medicine. So I think in the next 2 days, it's going to be quite interesting to see the conversation, even when we bring in our colleagues from the pharma sector also to contribute to this conversation on the importance of food in keeping us healthy. So I don't have much to say apart from just thanking the IREN team that has made this very, very possible, working from home, working under the fear of COVID-19. You notice fear in itself is some kind of disease, and I'm glad that we've managed to overcome the fear and continue to work from home. And I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome our partners, the Frederick Newman Foundation, which is now represented here by Inge, to make brief remarks, and then thereafter we prepare for the next 2-day festival. Thank you so much, Esperance.
Thank you very much, James, and welcome everybody. Welcome IREN team and everybody participating in the food festival. It's so nice to see you at least virtual, but we are all looking forward to come over and see you in real. So on behalf of the Friedrich Naumann Foundation, I welcome everybody to this wonderful initiative, the IREN Growthpad Virtual Food Festival, and with this very interesting theme to reimagine tourism and food experience in Kenya. So just quickly to present myself, my name is Inge Herbert, and I've just taken over the regional office of the Friedrich Naumann Foundation in August. But due to Corona crisis, I could not yet go to Johannesburg, so I'm still managing the office remotely. In the moment, I'm in Italy, and I'm going to say some words about food because Italy has a lot a lot of experience in food, and there's perhaps some things to share. So I have lived in different countries in Africa, and amongst them 3 years in East Africa, in Tanzania. Well, the food in Tanzania is not so very different from Kenya, and I share exactly what James is saying, that you find actually better food on the streets and in the little lodges than in the international hotels, and I think there's a lot of potential. Friedrich Naumann Foundation, we are very pleased always to work with James and the team of IREN, and James has already mentioned that this goes a long way. It's this initiative within the frame of the program of the ministry, the German Ministry of Cooperation, A World Without Hunger, within which we are doing a lot of projects which are directed at income generation, coming from property rights, coming from opportunities in the rural sector. Yeah, we are always looking for partners like IREN worldwide, the Friedrich Naumann Foundation, because we believe that growth and everything is coming actually from people like you who are on the ground and who are doing the work. But then of course we are looking for synergies, and yeah, with this festival we are doing, and what also the Friedrich Naumann Foundation is supporting, one, it's entrepreneurship. So create your own jobs, look at opportunities, don't look for the state to bring you into jobs. It's not the state who is going to do that. Look, what do you have on the ground? Like in Kenya, unbelievable, wonderful tourism opportunities and a lot of agricultural opportunities. So that's what we are looking for to support this kind of initiative. Then, of course, yeah, everything innovation and creation, and this is what you're doing with this food festival. Well, there is a crisis, we know that with Corona, but now what can we do out of this crisis? We cannot stick our heads into the sand, and we've all seen actually there's also some opportunities. It is an awful crisis, of course, and it is very much affecting our international lives, and it is also creating a lot of sorrow and grief. But what we've seen, we can very easily connect internationally now using the digital tools. And the digital tools, it's actually something which I've seen and observed IREN using a lot together with everybody who's involved in this food festival to bring digital tools everywhere, not only in the cities, but also to the local communities. And it is then such a democratic tool. Once you have bandwidth and some airtime, you can connect to the world. And for me, of course, it's so easy to sit here and just connect. I didn't need to travel. Well, it gives me the opportunity to visit a lot of places today virtually. Well, at a certain point, I really want to come over and also taste the food, but at least I can observe it from here. So that's the second point, which we as Friedrich Naumann Foundation embrace a lot: everything digital, everything creative, and everything innovative. Yeah, we are present in East Africa as Friedrich Naumann Foundation, yet in Tanzania, but we are very soon opening an office in Nairobi. So we are coming closer, and I'm very much looking forward to doing much more, not only with IREN, but with everybody who's here today and other partners in Kenya. Yeah, I've also seen in the program, of course, there's a lot of experiences you're sharing and a lot of even cooking demos and very interesting things coming up, but you're also talking about policy, and policy is something what's very much at our heart as Friedrich Naumann Foundation, because we are not an NGO, we are a political foundation. So we are looking at learning from people like IREN, think tanks, from thought leaders, to think what has to be changed in terms of policy. And as we are also very much talking to political partners all over the world, and also we have offices all over the world, we are looking into what experiences can we share worldwide and what policies must change so that people can create an income. How can we support growth? So policy is a very important topic, and it's something we would always look into as a feedback from an event like you are organizing today. Now, the opportunities you're talking about in your program, or which come out of your program, it's tourism and food. And I was talking about Italy, and as I'm in Italy now, actually, you all know World Heritage, UNESCO World Heritage. You have a lot of World Heritage sites in Kenya. Now, UNESCO also gives World Heritage status to food, and that was quite interesting. I don't know which Italian food it is. Was it like pasta or something? So there is a status of World Heritage to food, which means as a country, when you have a very specific food which you don't find in other places and which has a kind of universal value, this is considered something very, very important and to preserve. So there is a lot of potential in that. And as I said, as I've lived in East Africa and Tanzania, I think you have things in East Africa which you don't find in other countries. You have this wonderful mix of different perfumes and spices and from all the different people passing through, and then the wonderful quality of food you find in Kenya. Also drink, of course, coffee and so. So I think there's an unbelievable potential, and we've already seen IREN bringing out some products like the cookbook where you share these recipes, and economically wise and income wise, there is a lot of potential in that. Now, Corona, I've talked about it, and you're also mentioning, and of course, in the program. So we are in this crisis, but we have to restart. We have to reimagine. And Friedrich Naumann Foundation, similarly to your program, we are also starting a program end of this year, next year, which we call Restart 21, where we are also looking into how can we come out of this crisis? What are the opportunities? what has gone badly, because in some countries, not only in Africa, worldwide, we see a lot of oppression. We see the state using Corona as a pretext to restrict rights of civil society. So as a political foundation, we are going to look into that. But especially economically, we are going to look into initiatives like the one you're launching today. So what can we take out of this crisis? What has to change, and how can we learn and perhaps connect more by using digital and other tools? Yeah, so I encourage you to follow the growth path, to reimagine, reframe, to adapt, to continuously learn and develop in an ever-changing environment. And we are very pleased to be part of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Inge. So we still have some more time in our opening session, and you've also really brought some very proactive points for us, the World Heritage sites, food being part of this. And I think there was some talk some time back about food democracy. And I don't know if this is a topic that is widely discussed maybe in the Western world, because you notice that developed countries push their food outlets into other markets. Like now in Nairobi, you'll see KFC is already there. It's very easy to get Italian restaurant here, Japanese restaurant, Chinese restaurant, but not easy to, let's say, have what we'll call the Kenyan restaurant. Although when I was in Berlin, I was able to go to a Nigerian restaurant. So, yeah, but basically, the whole purpose of this food festival is to encourage also our chefs in this country, those who do catering services, because it's one of the most prolific business now across all the 47 counties of Kenya, where whenever there's a big forum, where the hotels are not well spread out across the rural counties, there are this, what we call the outside caterers, who then come in, set up tents, and then they are able to feed up to 2,000 people. So we are encouraging them that they also look at a possibility of mining into the indigenous foods and a possibility of the diaspora connecting with our farmers in the rural areas to see a possibility of an uptake of putting up restaurants in as far as Europe, in Asia, so that somebody can also feel the touch of African food. But of course, back to our topic, to reimagine. We are doing this because already we're talking about a country that has recorded 92% drop in visitation. And from where we sit as Interregion Economic Network, we see domestic tourism to be the very first thing that will restart the sector, because we have the confidence to travel within our country as Kenyans or as Africans. It might take some time before the international tourist gains the confidence to come back to visit the country, courtesy of the corona. So we are really looking forward to conversation in the next 2 days. We have a very able panel of experts that will be going through several of these topics and offer some suggestions from which we can build for the next step. So maybe just to ask one question, you said you've been to many African countries. Do you remember any specific food or recipe that you had and you always feel like you should come back and have it?
Oh, totally. No, I'm a great fan. And James, as well, I must just say, I really lived in 5 African countries, and the last 15 years, I've traveled to like 20, 25 countries. I have a lot of favorite food from all over Africa. Like in Nigeria, I love the pepper soup, which is very spicy. I think for you East Africans, it's even too spicy. So I love that one, and it often comes with a fish inside. It's a kind of, well, that's really nice. many people like the jollof rice, but it's not my favorite, the jollof rice, I must say.
Okay.
Now in Senegal, they have the Chibujan, it's called, and it's well, if you describe it in European terms, it's like a fish paella, but so it's a fish which is, the rice is done with the juice of the fish and altogether with a lot of different spices, and every woman, every good, well, it's mostly the women cooking there, but some men can also do it. So every household, let's say, has a specific recipe for that one, and originally it comes from Saint Louis in Senegal. Now in East Africa, I love just the street food. Well, I love the nyama choma on the street, and in Zanzibar, and so I do love these things, and you find it in Lamu as well, everything which is made with coconut now. In South Africa, they have they do a lot of what they call braai barbecue, and you have it with pap, which is kind of maize thing. So that's also very nice. No, I can, no, don't ask me about that. I can talk for hours, James. But just to mention, because you were mentioning chefs, now there's people who are really stars, African chefs. There's Pierre Thiam. He's from Senegal. He's written a lot of cookbooks. He has a catering, well, he did have a restaurant in New York, but he also has a catering service there. And he has a restaurant in Lagos, Nigeria, in a concept store, and it's one of the most expensive restaurants. And he's very much like you, many of your participants in the festival today. He's promoting local grains, which are, there's very fine and wonderful grains. And he's doing kind of a nouvelle cuisine, like a modern African kitchen, because this may also perhaps be something, perhaps sometimes you cannot always, even as a European, you must develop the food, but I think you must base it on the ingredients which you find on the ground, but you must of course also look in terms of presentation, how does it look, and you must adapt it. I think, well, but you will talk a lot, there's more experts. I'm just the consumer, but you have the professionals in there. But James, there's an enormous potential, and as you mentioned, you have to link it with the diaspora, because there's not sufficient African restaurants in Europe. My hometown is Berlin. Exactly, the Nigerians, they are kind of, well, there are a lot of people, first of all, and they are very moving and entrepreneurial, but Kenyans are that as well. So there's not sufficient Kenyan restaurants worldwide, but like in Berlin, I know a Nigerian one. I actually couldn't tell you about a Kenyan one, so we need a Kenyan restaurant in Berlin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think all our participants that you've had, we are very much honored to have engaged. She's not just talking from the Frederick Newman Foundation point of view, but she's also widely traveled and she stayed in many African countries, and you can see she is already an expert, and that's really what this festival is about, because when you are a consumer, you become the expert, because it's your feedback that makes the chef either go down or improve. And we are really looking forward to this conversation where we are going to be involving also the consumer as the expert. And there are going to be master classes where some of the chefs will be showcasing what they have, and then they create a possibility for what we call do it yourself. Because one thing that Corona has taught us is that when you are under lockdown, you have to learn to do multiple things. Otherwise, you can't wait for others to do it for you. So I think post-COVID, as you mentioned in your opening remarks, the restart is going to be quite interesting for everybody, for companies, for countries, for governments. I think we can't expect things to go back to normal. I think things are going to go to something we might refer to as the new normal. So I thank you so much for your opening remarks, and I'd like to hand over to Esperance to now give us the housekeeping, now virtual housekeeping for the next level, and then welcome everybody for this festival. Thank you, and now to Esperance.
Thank you so much, James. Thank you so much, Inge, for the great insights that you've given us, your experiences in the different countries in terms of food. And what I've picked from this conversation is that actually our country, Kenya, is sitting on the potential of creating very memorable food experiences, not just here locally and also internationally. As Inge has just said, Kenyan restaurants in Germany are very insufficient. So people, we are looking at potential opportunities here to make use of the foods that we have. Let's not just look at them as normal food that we eat every day, but let's look at them as unique value that we can offer to our very own people and even the international market. So for the 2 days, we are going to have different sessions, activities happening to the just to ensure that we answer all the questions on how can we reimagine the food and tourism industry in Kenya and the food experiences in Kenya. And we shall be having the Kamukunji panel sessions, which basically are discussion sessions that will be happening on Zoom. These are on policy strategies. We shall be having experts talking about their experiences during this coronavirus period, how they're planning to reboot post-COVID. We shall also be having master classes, people talking about in depth of their products and services, which can help all of us to make a rethinking model on our businesses. We shall also be having a recipe challenge going on in the IREN Growthpad Virtual Food Festival platform. You can get the links from our social media handles. So if you can just check Twitter, Facebook, you'll find the registration link to the event where you can go and check for the recipes that our chefs have prepared for us. And you can also do the voting. We shall also have food bloggers who have shared their videos with us. All this is just to think on how we can make our tourism and food industry a better place post-COVID, because I know the pandemic has really caused a downfall in everything that everyone has been doing. But as Inge has said, there is potential only through creativity, innovation, and process thinking. That is the only way we shall hit the reboot and the reset button. So thank you so much, everyone who has joined us today. And we have a great session that is coming up in the next 30 minutes or so. And this one is going to be talking about the reimagining tourism and food experiences in Kenya. And they're going to talk about how Kenya can deliver its virtual food experiences internationally and locally, and what are the pros and cons of going digital in this sector. Because we know for tourists, they want that physical touch. If they want to go to Masai Mara, they want to see the whole what? The wildebeest crossing the Mara. So they want that physical appearance to be there, or they want to see the lion do its roar, or when they go to a restaurant, they want to have a feel of eating that food. But now with Corona and now with digital space, how can we ensure that the same experience that tourists want can be delivered virtually? So stay tuned. There is more to come. Thank you so much.